In Morocco, accidents at work amount to more than 65,000 per year, 20% of which are serious cases. The building and public works sector is a major contributor to this sad situation. On a construction site usually coexist several stakeholders for the different trades: structural work, plumbing, electricity, heating, carpentry, painting, roads. Cohabitation generates a permanent movement on the site of people and machines rolling. To this end, workers on a construction site are faced with a double risk: risks due to their own activity, risks due to other activities. Thus, prevention against these risks involves two essential elements: compliance with safety instructions, and safe organization of the site. According to statistics from the International Labour Office (ILO), 270 million accidents at work occur each year in the world, of which 355,000 of them experience a fatal outcome. In developing countries, the death rate is 5 to 7 times higher than in the industrialized world. Indeed, thousands of work accidents occur every year in public and private companies, and hundreds of workers perish, become disabled, and their lives, and those of their loved ones, are turned upside down. Insists on compliance with safety rules in the workplace, and several articles deal with information for employees in the field of health and safety at work, layout and hygiene of work premises, protection of machines and installations, occupational medicine, the Health and Safety Committee, disciplinary and penal sanctions. Its obligations range from the installation of a fire prevention device to the prohibition of the use of substances that could endanger the lives of employees, by the way respecting all the rules of hygiene and safety in all the premises of the company. A temporary or permanent closure of the company is planned in cases where this does not remedy violations of the legislative or regulatory requirements of the safety noted by the labor. Employees also have their share of responsibility within the company. The code warns the personnel, duly informed about the security methods and measures, against any negligence or breach of safety regulations in the workplace, and can be considered as a serious fault which could lead to a dismissal without compensation nor damages. In the first place, the fallout from accidents and occupational diseases is dreadful for the person and his relatives, but also for the employer and the company. The dynamics of work, the need for productivity, routine and inattention mean that every day, everyone faces risky situations that can cause accidents to job. An accident at work can have dramatic consequences for the victims, their families, but also for the company and its managers. Before clarifying the human issues, social and economic, caused by work accidents and illnesses professional, it is important to clarify these two concepts. Work accidents occurring as a result of, or on the occasion of, and accidents that occur on the way to and from work. An occupational disease is the consequence of exposure, more or less prolonged, to a risk that exists during the usual exercise of the profession. The worker suffering from an occupational disease benefits from the advantages fixed by the legislation on industrial accidents. In the event of an accident, people are injured in their physical integrity. Prejudice may be temporary, but also permanent. They are also affected psychologically, morally and family. An accident can be the cause of tragedy's family. The worker goes to a building site to earn his living and not to lose it. Families are devastated, widows, orphans and the disabled are cause of work accidents. This bleeding can only be stopped by behavior responsible on behalf of all. The cost of accidents represents a significant financial burden for the company and can be the very cause of its bankruptcy and closure. In addition to the direct costs that accompany any work accident are added other costs such as the salary of the replacement or temporary worker who will have to be trained and paid, possible stoppage of work, accompanied by possible penalties for delay, material damage, motivation of other team members. In addition, the company may be exposed to fines or even a temporary closure or definitive in the event of failure to comply with certain rules laid down by the Moroccan Labor Code. In the end, it goes without saying that a company's brand image is tarnished in the event of accidents. Occupational diseases are little known to the public because they gradually settle in and can remain asymptomatic for a long time and become rife for several years afterwards, unlike accidents at work which usually occur as soon as they occur. Diseases professionals are responsible for work stoppages, permanent disabilities, and even disability and death. These diseases can affect one or more organs such as the lungs, liver, kidneys, the nervous system, vision, hearing, blood, etc. They can cause various diseases such as asthma, anemia, dermatosis, encephalopathy, deafness, kidney damage, cancer. To give right to compensation, an illness must result from the usual exercise of the profession and must appear on the list of compensable occupational diseases, determined and updated by the competent authorities. Unlike an accident at work declared by the employer, an occupational disease must be declared by the employee himself and supported by a descriptive medical certificate. The care and repair procedure is similar to that of industrial accidents. The services provided include services in kind in the form of support medical, paramedical and pharmaceutical costs and cash benefits. Occupational disease is a tragedy for the victim and his relatives. It also has a cost for the company. Collective technical protection makes it possible to eliminate or reduce dangers, example of particulate and gas extraction systems at the source. Protective equipment protect the individual from direct contact with the substances dangerous. Medical prevention is provided by the occupational physician who regularly monitors the state of health of employees according to the risks incurred. He can ask for exams, additional screening. It can also recommend an adjustment or a transfer of position dictated by the employee's state of health. Occupational disease is preventable by putting in place of a good occupational risk management system, based on the commitment of the employer, employee membership and participation, risk assessment, information, training and continuous improvement. The variety of activities on a site and the multiplicity of stakeholders amplify and diversify the risk of accidents. These accidents are usually caused by irresponsible act and dangerous. Falls from heights are the leading cause of serious accidents and fatalities in the area. The fatal cases result mainly from falls from roofs, terraces, glass roofs and also from ladders and scaffolding. Accidents can affect several members of the human body, the eyes, head, neck, upper and inner limbs, and cause various consequences and dramatic. The wounds injuries are very common on a construction site when protective measures appropriate are not taken. Bleeding. It is a flow of blood out of the blood vessels, which results in reduction in the volume of blood circulating in a human body. Bleeding. External bleeding. Blood flows outside the body through an opening. Internal bleeding. Blood flows inside the body. Depending on the amount of blood lost and the location of the bleeding, bleeding may cause serious effects such as anemia, drop in blood pressure and cause in some cases death if the person is not taken care of in time. Burns on a construction site. You can be exposed to 3 types of burns: thermal burns, caused by fire, steam or contact with an object burning, chemical burns, caused by the action of acids or corrosive products. Electric burns, caused by electric shock. This results in a burn of the skin at the points of entry and exit of the current. Back injuries. It is one of the most frequent accidents on a construction site and is mainly due to shocks. Shocks to the spine, muscles, tendons, ligaments and joints are caused by falls, slips, or handling of heavy objects. Violent efforts. Handling heavy objects is the main source of strain. Violent. The type of handling and the characteristics of the object itself determine the effort and the risks that may arise from it. Failure to comply with ergonomic rules. Fractures and other traumas. It's hard to tell the difference between a fracture, a dislocation and a sprain. Fractures. A damage to one or more bones, characterized by a total or partial cut. There may be one or more fractures on the same bone. Dislocations. A joint dislocations, sometimes with tearing of the ligaments and displacement of bone ends. They happen to big joints, hip, shoulder, knee, elbow, and sometimes at the level of the thumb. Sprains are also joint damage but without dislocation. Wounds: it is an attack of the flesh, the tissues, with lesion of the integuments, skin, mucous membrane. There are two types of wounds: simple wounds and serious wounds. Generally considered as simple, wounds having the characteristic following: little extent, the affected area does not exceed that of the palm of a hand of the victim, superficial, little or not soiled, containing no foreign bodies, not bleeding or very little. The wound is considered serious when any of the above conditions are not present. Even if work accidents are fortunately not all serious, the risk is always present. Frequent and repetitive professional activities are activities that take place in an unnatural posture, are responsible for lesions that can manifest themselves both in the work and at rest. They are generally responsible for back pain and accidents vertebral. The most frequent cases in the construction industry are low back pain. Low back pain is a very common condition characterized by pain localized in lower back. They are generally the result of excessive effort, brutal or extreme movement, of a fall. Handling, vibrations and heavy physical labor are factors of proven risks. In order to understand and prevent back pain and injury, it is important to know the role of the spine, vertebrae, intervertebral discs, muscles and ligaments. The spine plays two main roles: protecting the spinal cord and supporting the body. The spine is made up of 32 to 34 vertebrae divided into 5 regions: 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 lumbar vertebrae, 5 sacral vertebrae and 3 to 5 vertebrae for the tailbone. Vertebrae are bony structures. They can be fractured like all the bones of the skeleton when they are subjected to a significant impact. The intervertebral discs are like little cushions that cushion the shocks and prevent the vertebrae from hitting against each other. The center of these pads is formed of a sac or core containing a viscous liquid. The record is playing both a role of universal joint and of cushion between two vertebrae. Muscles and ligaments allow the spine to maintain its position, keep your balance and distribute the pressure on all the discs. Ligaments are small fibrous tissue that binds the vertebrae together and connects the muscles to the bones of the column, while preventing certain abnormal movements such as bending backwards. Following a violent shock or an abnormal repetition of flexion movements or rotation, the fibrous annulus may be injured, causing pain. Shocks to the spine are also caused by falls or slips. The prevention with regard to such risks concerns all workers, who must ensure a good housekeeping. This position opens the way to back pain, because it does not respect the curves. Physiological effects of the spine and creates excessive loads and strains that can cause damage to the structures of the back. The risks of fire are frequent on a site mainly because of the product's flammable materials used and working conditions. Workers must be prepared to intervene to control the fire and minimize human and material damage. Even if the risks are greater for certain trades such as carpentry or painting, the use of fire extinguishers must be known by all those present on a construction site. An extinguisher is a device that allows to project an extinguishing agent onto a fire source. The use of a fire extinguisher must comply with very specific rules. 1. Make sure that the class of the extinguisher is suitable for the fire so as not to aggravate the situation. 2. Intervene as early as possible. 3. Remove the pin or strike the handle to release the gas from the cartridge. 4. Check that the extinguisher operates by briefly pressing the ejector handle on the distance from the focus. 5. Approach the fire by stooping, to avoid hot fumes and vapors present in profile, in order to minimize the effect of radiation from the fire, and preferably the back to the wind, and attack the base of the flames. In recent years, the protection of the environment has emerged as a necessity that goes beyond the borders of a state to reach a planetary dimension. Indeed, several natural disasters and several illnesses are attributed to the behavior, not responsible for the human being towards the environment. So the world has known these past decades several disasters which sound the alarm bells and which have highlighted various issues affecting the planet. Global warming linked to the greenhouse effect, the hole in the ozone layer, deforestation, the problem of water resources, land regression and degradation, the atmospheric pollution, droughts. Oil slicks, industrial disasters, nuclear accidents, floods and hurricanes. The human being is at the origin of all these catastrophes. Only responsible behavior, everyone and at all levels, would allow humanity to minimize damage in the future. Waste management remains one of the biggest challenges on construction sites. Each company is responsible for the management and disposal of the waste it produces. It is advisable to propose the use of less polluting, recycled and recyclable materials. Ensure the reduction of waste at source, returnable packaging, limit waste, etc. Directing waste to sectors that comply with regulations. Ensure the traceability of waste. Demolition work generates the most waste. It is estimated that the works of demolition generate the majority of site waste, 65%, much more than rehabilitation, 28%, or new work, 7%. The main players in construction, demolition, rehabilitation are the workers present on the site and must be made aware to have a responsible attitude. Simple and daily behaviors on the part of the workers on a construction site would contribute certainly to the preservation and protection of nature. Asbestos is undoubtedly the material encountered on construction sites that has done a lot talk about him in recent years. This is a material that has been widely used in the building for many years for its natural qualities of resistance to high temperatures, its physical and chemical properties, and its low cost. It is still found in braids, flocking, false ceilings, plasters, joints or pipe. In some countries, the production and use of asbestos has been banned and campaigns asbestos removal was organized because of the serious diseases.